All right, everybody, thank you for taking your time to watch this first review of the Hunt G4 YouTube channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the Lift 33 for Mathews. There's a lot of hype around this line this year, so we're going to go over some of the technical specs. I've also done a speed test with multiple weight arrows at multiple draw lengths to give you somewhat of a feel of what you could expect if you were to purchase this bow. I want to preface this by saying that I try to be as unbiased as possible with these reviews. All the brands we sell are making incredible bows right now, but some are going to be more or less desirable to you based on your personal needs. So I'm going to tell you the features of this bow, how that may or may not benefit you, and let you hopefully make a decision on whether or not this is the right purchase for you. So we'll dive into the technical specs first. So this is the Mathews Lift 33. As the name would suggest, it is 33 inches axle to axle. Comes in at a 6.5 inch brace height. They cut almost a full ½ pound out of the riser this year, which it's kind of a marvel of engineering that they were able to do that and keep this bow as quiet and as smooth as it is. So it comes in at 4.3 pounds. It can go from a 27 to a 31 inch draw length. 31.5 inch draw length. And it IBOs at 343. Now, if you're familiar with the Mathews line, the Phase 4 33 last year, which I personally shot, I love that bow. That IBO'd at 334, 335. So they've almost increased the feet per second by 10 feet a second, while maintaining all the forgiveness, actually increasing the forgiveness. So you're getting a speed bow that has this forgiveness of a target bow, and I'll go into some of the features of this bow. I'll go into some of the features of this bow that make it that way in a minute here. Some of the standout features that Mathews innovated a couple years ago with their V3X line was the bridge lock sight and stabilizer system. So I don't have a sight in here right now, but most sight companies now are making a dovetail that will actually mount through the riser. It has the integrated mount here. If you want to use the Mathews QAD rest, this bow right now is mounted with the Hamskea Epsilon, which is one of our favorite rests here. We'll be doing more reviews on that in the future. What that allows you to do is when you mount your quiver to the bow, you can suck that quiver right up underneath the limb. So in the past, if you've had a bow, you shoot it all year without your quiver on. A month before hunting season, you put your quiver on, fill it with arrows, and now your bow wants to tip to that side. I'm not going to say it completely alleviates that, but it definitely makes a big difference being able to suck the quiver up right next to the riser. You're going to increase the mass weight, but not change the balance of the bow enough. This has a couple of the little gadgets that Mathews has. So this is their engaged limb leg. You can shoot with it on. It weighs almost nothing. If you're a ground blind hunter, which I know there's not a lot of us in Oregon, but turkey season, deer season, you don't have to get your cam in the dirt. You can pick this up, shoot it. Pretty cool system. Their bridge lock stabilizer here. If you get a 10-inch bar or a 12-inch bar, you can just slide this in and out and really customize the balance and feel of that bow. And again, this is made by Mathews. So a couple of things that really stood out to me about this bow is the riser design. So I mentioned that they cut out over a ½ pound of weight. Mathews in the past, that has been one criticism, is that they were a little on the heavier side. So they listened to the customers, they listened to the dealers, and they cut that weight out. But what really stands out about this is they basically designed an entire new bow. This is a new riser, new limb, new mod, new cam. In the module system, you can make this bow without even touching the limb bolts. I can make this bow a 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, or 80 pound peak weight, and then adjust down from whatever that peak weight is. So if you're a newer shooter and you can only pull 25, 30 pounds, you can put the 55 pound mods on this, take a couple turns out of the limbs, and get this bow down to an absurdly low draw weight to start with. And then as you progress, you can buy new mods and increase your peak weight. But back to the riser here. So a lot of people aren't familiar with what reflex of a riser is. The reflex is the distance from the pivot point of the limb here. So if I drew a straight line from pivot point to pivot point, top to bottom, the distance from that line to the center or the throat of the grip here is the reflex. The less reflex a bow has, the more forgiving it is. And what I mean by that is, let's say, just for an ease of numbers, if I put 2 pounds of pressure on the left edge of the grip on a bow that has 3 inches of reflex, my miss at 20 yards will be much bigger than if I put 2 pounds of pressure on the grip of a bow with an inch or inch and a half of reflex. Mathews figured out a way to make a bow that has 1.3 inches of reflex, which is basically a target bow. Lengthen the riser. So this is a 33-inch bow. The riser is 33 inches. And Mathews actually has a patent on the angle that they can lay their limb back to. So you get the stability and the forgiveness of a target bow platform, basically. But because this limb is so short, they maintain a 6.5-inch brace height, which gives you a long power stroke, thus increasing your speed. So again, you have the speed of a hunting bow with the forgiveness of a target bow. It's kind of a marvel in engineering. If you weren't familiar with the Phase 4 line, this is actually, it's 2 limbs, but each limb is comprised of 2 limbs. So they have this urethane between the 2 limbs here. I'm not gonna lie, when that first came out last year, I was pretty skeptical, thinking that was going to break down, or in heat it would expand and in cold it would contract. I shot the brakes off this thing and I never had an issue with it. So it's head to toe, it's an incredible bow. Again, when it comes to quiet and smooth, Mathews has always been pretty much at the top of that game, and there's no difference with this. If you have shot the Phase 4, which was last year's model, I think there is, if you blindfolded yourself and shot them side by side, this might have a little bit more vibration, but it's also a ½ pound lighter. So how can you expect it to not dissipate that vibration quite as much? They make this bow in a 29.5, which has basically all the same features, just in a smaller package. It does have a little bit more speed, but this thing is no slouch. And for a 33-inch bow, it's not long necessarily, but it behaves like a long target bow. So I did a speed test with these, and I'll give you the numbers here. So the first one was at 70 pounds, 30 inches. I had a 525 grain arrow, a 448 grain arrow, and a 385 grain arrow. So at 30 inches with the 525, it went 272. At 440, the 448 grain arrow was 301, which that is cooking. And with the 385, it was 318. So then I took the 28-inch mods and put them on here. So shorter draw length, but same draw weight, same arrows. The 525 was at 264. The 448 was at 277, and the 385 was at 296. With that, what I've noticed shooting this bow is it likes a heavier arrow, or in terms of the cam system is efficient with a heavier arrow. We'll get into arrows down the road here. That is a rabbit hole that we can talk about for a long, long time, but it will do anything you want it to do, basically. Like I said, I'm not here to tell you this is the best bow, but it has a lot of great features that I think you'd like if you came and shot it. So next time you're in the neighborhood, swing down to G4. We have demo bows and everything we sell. Hopefully this one is in your lineup. Anyway, guys, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this review. Till we meet next time, hunt hard, hunt safe, be kind. If you have a minute, please hit that like and subscribe button at the bottom of the screen here. We'll see you next time.